Damien Chazelle's new film, Babylon. A new Ruben Östlund film, Triangle of Sadness. And Naomi Ackie stars as Whitney Houston in I Want to Dance with Somebody. That's this week on The King's Corner. What's up, guys, and thank you so much for popping into another week of The King's Corner, where this week we start talking about Damien Chazelle's new movie, Babylon. Now, it's no surprise to anybody that I don't think First Man was all that great. I think it was okay, but I don't think it was great. And that was his last film. So going into this, I said, maybe he'll go back to his La La Land and Whiplash roots. And I think he certainly does as a director. I think this movie is extremely well directed. It's very, very lively. This is some would say, an insane film where a lot of craziness happens. Irresponsibility happens, but it's well directed and it's well maintained. So sometimes the film could be irresponsible, but in the best ways possible. In this film, it's directed very well. Chazelle does a great job with the scenes in this movie. And it stars Margot Robbie, Brad Pitt, and Diego Calva as the three leads of the film, but a whole bunch of other stars and actors appear in the movie as well. But they're the three leads, and they're making their way through Hollywood in the early stages of Hollywood, where we go from films that don't have any talking to the talkies. Margot Robbie wants to be an actress, Diego Calva is more behind the scenes, and Brad Pitt is more of an esteemed actor in the time. And the thing that I said I really liked about the film is the individual scenes and the love letter to cinema, the love letter to olden days Hollywood. I thought that was really good. But the negative I have with this movie, which is a pretty big negative, is there's just too much. There's a lot of scenes in this movie, and I think you could have cut at least a half hour out of this film, and you could have still had the same message. I just think there's way too much. The movie's too long. It's way too long. It doesn't need to be this long. There's no reason this movie needed to be this long. Scenes could have been cut out. Sure, they were well-directed scenes, but they could have been thrown into the deleted scenes on the Blu-ray, and they would have been like, oh, wow, that's more really good scenes. I could see why they're not in the film, but makes sense, why they're not in the movie. So that's really where I have a big problem with it. It's just too long. This is like if you ordered a cheeseburger with all your favorite ingredients on it, but they decided to add triple ingredients. Of all your favorite ingredients, they just decided to load those ingredients onto your burger. You get it, you say, I like what's going on here. There's just too much. There's just too much going on. There's way too much of what I like. So sometimes too much is not a good thing. All the acting is great. I think Brad Pitt's my favorite part of the movie. I think his performance, the story with him, my favorite through line of the film. Margot Robbie, thought she was good. I don't think she was great. I think she's giving another Margot Robbie performance. I think her best role is from I, Tonya. I don't think she's really given us an excellent performance since then. She's okay in the movie. Diego Calva is also good. A lot of Golden Globe nominations for this. But I think the film is okay. I don't think it's great because it's just too long. There's too much going on here. Is it well made? Sure. Is it well shot? Sure. The production value, all of it. Justin Hurwitz's score, really good. It's just too long. So I'm right in the middle with this. Babylon is a 3 out of 5 star film for me. Do I recommend it? I'm not going to go thumbs down or thumbs up. I'm going to go thumbs in the middle. So if you're prepared for this sort of thing, and you have the time, you have the 3 hours. Particularly, I'd send you to see Avatar, but if you're not into that sort of thing, you want to see this, you might like it. I don't think you'll dislike it. I didn't dislike it. I'm just right in the middle on it. So that's Babylon. Next up, we're talking about Triangle of Sadness, another film that's been getting a lot of Golden Globe nominations and the Critics' Choice nomination for Best Comedy. But do I think this movie is a comedy? Absolutely not. There's films that I think are dark comedies, which have a lot of more serious subject matter that they're throwing humor in, and it works really well. This, I say there's one funny scene. There's one funny scene in the film. Other than that scene, this is a light drama. I don't really think there's necessarily too much going on in this film. other than the message that's trying to be conveyed here. I think the message is stronger than the film. The message of, rich people on wealthy people, if they're mixed together, how do they interact? What happens? Does the money matter at all? I like that, but I think that like I said, the story of that and the message of it and the idea of it is stronger than the execution in this film. You have two lead characters, Yaya and Carl, these two aspiring models who are very wealthy. They get on this free cruise. Things go wrong. So how do they survive? How do they survive? Strip them from their money. How do they survive? And it's an interesting tale. Certainly is an interesting tale. But I think that I think it's way too long. This is almost 2.5 hours long, where a lot of the time nothing really happens. There's part 3 of the film, which is called The Island. That's where the movie sort of takes its turn and it says, okay, now we're going to put the magnifying glass to see how these people interact with each other under extreme circumstances. I like that, but not enough happens. Not enough happens in this movie. All the cruise stuff, that was pretty fun, pretty entertaining. I was entertained the whole film. I was never bored. Even though it is 2.5 hours long, I was never bored by it, even though I'm thinking, I want something to happen. I'm sitting there thinking, well, what's going to happen? What's this going to lead to? And nothing really does happen. By the end of the film, you just kind of go, you know, I didn't dislike that, but I didn't love it all that much either. Triangle of Sadness is another 3 out of 5-star film for me. Do I think this is going to get any Oscar nominations? I would certainly hope not. I don't think. I mean, maybe the screenplay, because, like I said, the story of it and the concept of it is actually pretty strong. But the film as a whole, like I said, the execution, not as strong. So we'll see. So in the end of the day, I wouldn't recommend it, but I would not recommend it either. If you're interested in seeing it, I'm not going to say no to Triangle of Sadness. Continuing on with the latest holiday biopic, it's I Want to Dance with Somebody, starring Naomi Ackie as Whitney Houston. Some may remember her from Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, as Janna, and she was actually a standout role in that film. She was great and charismatic in that movie, and now she stars in a role which may just define her career unless she has bigger and better roles to come. She is fantastic as Whitney Houston in the movie, and I'm surprised that she hasn't been nominated for any awards yet. No Golden Globes, no Critics' Choice. I think she is a shoo-in for Best Lead Actress. I think she's fantastic in the movie, not just her singing, but the acting as well. The scenes where there's no songs being sung, it's just pure acting. I thought she was great in the film, and she slips into the role. She is Whitney Houston. Stanley Tucci plays her partner in her life, not her romantic partner, but her business partner. He just wants to see what's best for her. And I think he was really good as a supporting actor in the film. I think this movie should be being talked about more than it is. It's falling under the radar, and I don't think that's fair. I think that this film is no Elvis. It's not as good as Elvis, but it's still good. It's still an entertaining film, a well-directed film, a well-acted film. The songs, all of it, I thought was really good. I thought it was entertaining, was never bored. But the negative I have with the film, the nitpick I have with the film, is the emotional element of it isn't as strong as you might have hoped for a film where there's, it's a musical, like A Star Is Born. This takes a very dramatic take, very dark take, especially towards the end of that film. This movie is more of a celebration of Whitney Houston, so you do get glimpses into the darkness of her life, but the film never really dives into it. It's very surface level when they try to get into this more serious stuff. It's more of a positive, happy-go-lucky film celebrating Whitney Houston. So I don't think the movie has an emotional hook. I don't think it's emotionally investing, but I do think it's entertaining, and I think it's well made. And I'm going to Dance with Somebody, or I Want to Dance with Somebody, is a 3.5 out of 5-star film for me. And if you want to go see a biopic and you liked Elvis and you like films like Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocket Man, this is right up there in that conversation. I would recommend I Want to Dance with Somebody with a great lead performance from Naomi Ackie. And finishing our episode of The King's Corner, our final thing we want to talk about is the physical media roundup. There's no memory lane segment this week. We're not talking about any of the older films, but we are talking about the new release of the week on 4K Blu-ray, the physical media release, and that's Halloween Ends. This is the 4K Steelbook from Best Buy. And look, say what you want about this film. You've probably seen my post on Instagram. This is a beautiful steelbook. This is an incredible steelbook. It's one of the best steelbooks of the year. But the thing about this 4K Blu-ray is it's so dark. The film is dark. The first two films, Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, very dark as well. But this time around, this movie and the color palette is so dim, where it really doesn't lend anything to the HDR or the 4K of it, the Ultra HD of it. So the movie is not great either. You pay for this. You want to watch the last 15 minutes, the Laurie Strode versus Michael Myers fight. That's why you go see the movie. And the rest of it is a big disappointment. And quite frankly, didn't work. So if you want my full thoughts, I got reviews for it, spoiler reviews for it, and I also talk about it in my top 10 worst movies of the year list, which is up now. So guys, thank you so much for watching this week's episode of The King's Corner. And next week, you can expect us to talk about films like A Man Called Otto, starring Tom Hanks, and the new Blumhouse horror picture, Megan. So we're looking forward to seeing those, seeing what else pops into theaters as well. Guys, you can follow me on Twitter at RyanKing72 and Instagram at KingOfRises131 and TikTok at KingOfRises131 as well. Guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of The King's Corner, and until next time, over and out.